This is Kite Cutter TV with another presentation. We gotta talk about this. Okay, guys, today Rudy Giuliani spoke in front of a federal judge in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, arguing all votes in the state should be tossed. Giuliani was a late addition to President Donald Trump's legal team in this case after other lawyers withdrew hours before the hearing. The Trump campaign claims Democratic majority counties in Pennsylvania improperly allowed voters to correct errors on ballot envelopes before Election Day, while Republican majority counties did not. They say this violates the Equal Protection Clause. While Giuliani boasted claims of widespread voter fraud across the nation, even bringing up Jimmy Carter in 1960s Chicago under Mayor Richard Daley, the crux of his argument centered on poll watchers being kept at a distance in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and other majority Democratic cities. But we got a lot of immigration issues to get into first, from underground tunnels to illegal aliens wanting more handouts. Check this out.
Like most small business owners, 2020 has been a whirlwind for Arturo Ortega, owner of La Fortaleza restaurant in Clifton, New Jersey.
When we were working only takeouts, it was very difficult.
Business turned the corner when outdoor and indoor dining restrictions were lifted in the Garden State. Federal funding like PPP also kept Ortega above water. But he can't say the same for other business owners in the community who pay their fair share of taxes but have been denied aid because of their immigration status.
They are struggling with this situation because business is not the same.
Undocumented immigrants have not only been disproportionately devastated by COVID in New Jersey, but all have been excluded from nearly every form of federal aid. New legislation currently on the table in the state legislature is aiming to change that.
Every human being that performs an essential function not only put themselves at risk, but also their loved ones.
Community leaders and advocates with the organization Make the Road New Jersey are calling on officials to pass bills S-2480 and A-4171, which will issue a one-time payment to certain eligible taxpayers.
It is time for the state of New Jersey to understand that we're not invisible. We are visible. And we need to be included.
A study published by the New Jersey Policy Perspective showed undocumented taxpayers contributed more than $1 billion to the state's unemployment fund over the past decade. While the funds are there, critics argue the focus now should be on what's expected to be a harsh economic outlook for the state due to the pandemic. The legislation, which currently has bipartisan support, is currently stalled in the state legislature, and advocates are now on a mission to get it up for a vote before the end of the year. In Clifton, I'm Andrew Ramos, Pix 11 News.
The San Diego Board of Supervisors will hold its annual Truth Act forum tomorrow. It's to discuss if and when local law enforcement provided assistance to the Federal Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency.
The meeting is required under state law. As News 8 Shannon Handy reports tonight, this year there are some changes to ensure more of the public can take part.
Last year's Truth Act Forum was held in person during the day. This year, it starts at 5 o'clock virtually. Now, that time change is something Supervisors Jim Desmond and Nathan Fletcher push for in hopes more people can participate.
It's really hard to have a forum designed to inform the community if you do it during the middle of the day on a workday.
San Diego County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher says when it comes to holding law enforcement accountable for their interactions with ICE, Tuesday's Truth Act Forum isn't just crucial, it's required by law.
On the accountability side is to make sure that law enforcement agencies are actually doing what SB 54 requires them to do.
SB 54, also known as the California Values Act or Sanctuary State Law, prohibits local law enforcement agencies from using its own resources to investigate or arrest people for federal immigration purposes. SB 54 builds on the California Trust Act, which says those same agencies can't let ICE contact people in their custody unless they've been convicted of certain crimes.
SB 54 was put in place so that that woman who's a victim of domestic violence who may have an unsure immigration status is confident she can call 911 and as a victim will not face deportation. So that that immigrant who witnesses a crime is comfortable calling 911 and sharing with law enforcement who it is that did that horrific thing without fearing deportation.
A separate bill called the Truth Act requires governments that give ICE access to an individual during the year to hold at least one public community forum and provide information about ICE's access to individuals. In 2018, the Sheriff's Department revealed ICE requested meeting with more than 1,800 people in their custody. 649 of those meetings were granted. Sheriff Bill Gore acknowledged one violation that year, but said it was quickly addressed.
We took action. We did training.
During Tuesday's meeting, 2019 numbers will be released. The public is invited to take part virtually, where they can watch, share concerns, and ask questions.
In a way, perhaps is even better. Perhaps more people will be likely to tune in and participate, given they don't have to physically be present.
Again, that meeting starts at 5 o'clock tomorrow. If you'd like to take part, we put the link on our website. Just go to cbs8.com, click on the help button.
To an issue that has caused tension in our county, certainly, and tomorrow a public forum will be held to take a closer look at how local law enforcement is working to comply with the Truth Act, a state law designed to help all people who live in California feel confident they will be protected by local law enforcement without fear of deportation. NBC7's Bridget Naso has details on that for us tonight.
County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher told us the whole idea behind this forum is to create safer communities and to have transparency. It is no secret relations between immigrant rights groups and law enforcement have been strained during the Trump administration. Groups say many undocumented immigrants fear coming forward to report a crime for fear of being deported. Immigrants say it is still happening despite California's Truth Act, which was passed in 2016.
I want the community to know that if you call 911 and you're in need of help, you will get someone who's there to protect and serve you, not deport you.
County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher says it just takes one incident to cast doubt and break the community's trust.
Last year, we dealt with an issue of a sheriff's deputy who needed a translator and just happened to call Border Patrol to translate, who happened to take that family into custody.
The Transparent Review of Unjust Transfers and Holds Act, or AB 2792, requires that county government hold a forum if a local law enforcement agency provides access to a federal immigration and customs enforcement agency. Fletcher says at Tuesday's forum he will have some questions about some of the arrests during the recent protests and about how information is accessed to see who's being held at local jails. The Sheriff's Department confirmed with NBC7 ICE agents are no longer allowed inside jail facilities to await an individual to be released, and they no longer allow ICE to access internal jail information. Adding ICE's requests for release dates are only provided if the individual is convicted. Fletcher wants the community to know under California law, it is not local law enforcement's job to enforce immigration policy.
In order to have a community that feels safe, they have to feel confident that they can engage and interact with law enforcement.
The public is invited to attend this virtual forum at 5 p.m. on Tuesday. We have more information on our website, NBC7.com. Reporting from the County Administration Building downtown, Bridget Naso, NBC7.
And the Sheriff's Department also says they put information that they share with ICE on a public website and also hold meetings with immigrant rights groups.
CBS 4 is your local election headquarters. All eyes on Pennsylvania today as the Trump campaign made its case without any evidence that more than 680,000 mail-in ballots were illegally counted. Supporters of President Trump gathered outside the courthouse to protest the results. Inside, Rudy Giuliani argued the campaign will present evidence supporting their claims that ballots were counted with no observation allowed by poll watchers. There has been no evidence of that so far. Pennsylvania election officials contend that those claims are unfounded and that poll watchers from both parties were in fact given access.
A lawsuit is being heard in a federal courtroom in Lycoming County.
Now, the Trump campaign has been maintaining accusations of widespread voter fraud, although so far no evidence has actually supported that. Now, we do have live team coverage for you of all of today's events. In a minute, we'll check in with our I-Team's Annie Michalczyk. But first, we want to get to Julie Dunphy, who is also live outside the courthouse tonight. Julie?
Yeah, Nick, Candace, good evening. These Trump supporters have been out here chanting, rallying outside of the federal courthouse here in Williamsport for more than 4 hours now. Now, I spoke to multiple different Trump supporters today, and they all tell me that they don't trust the results of the election, and that's why they're out here supporting President Trump. Now, the Democratic Party, on the other hand, says that democracy won.
God bless America! God bless America!
All eyes are on Williamsport, Pennsylvania, Tuesday.
There's many people that are concerned about this election and the way it was conducted.
More than 50 Trump supporters chanting.
Stop the steal! Stop the steal!
and rallied together outside the federal courthouse. Heavy police presence here today as Rudy Giuliani, the president's personal attorney, presenting claims of voter fraud inside the courthouse.
I don't think Rudy Giuliani would be here if he didn't have evidence.
I've been waiting for Rudy Giuliani to come to Northeast Pennsylvania to file and make a statement because we don't trust the results of this election.
Supporters from near and far here to show support for President Donald Trump.
I just want to help support the president and what he's doing to make sure all the legal votes get counted.
We don't want there to be a question that somebody voted illegally and that the ballot was either false or the person didn't exist or they voted multiple times. That's what we want to know. We just want to know it was a fair election.
Smith doesn't believe Trump lost to Biden by the 73,000 margin reported by the Associated Press.
That doesn't make sense to me. I know a few Republicans that don't like Trump, but I know a lot more Democrats that never voted Republican in their life and they voted Trump.
There were no Democratic protesters present Tuesday. Eyewitness News reached out to the Lycoming County Democratic Committee, who said, quote, "We believe this case, like all of the other suits, has no merit and will be tossed by this court or whichever court gets it next. Trump lost, democracy won. The patriotic thing for him to do would be to allow the normal transition process to begin."
Now, one family I spoke to even flew out here all the way from Texas. Most I found are Pennsylvanians, and they're still out here today. They've been out here since about 12:30, so it's going on more than 4 hours at this point. Reporting live from Williamsport, Julie Dunphy, Eyewitness News.
And now we give you an exclusive look inside a cross-border tunnel recently discovered in San Luis, Arizona. Now, it's a sixth tunnel found in the desert southwest in the last 15 years, but agents say hundreds more of these tangles of tunnels exist along the southern border, used to transport not only drugs, but also high-level drug kingpins themselves.
This tunnel here was one of the most sophisticated tunnels we have seen.
For years, more attention has centered around the U.S. southern border. Agents keeping close watch on the remote terrains and brutal streets. But now smugglers are reinventing ways to go unseen, leading us to an unassuming dirt lot. But it's what's beneath that has agents stunned.
All right, I just want to give you the lay of the land right now because it's pretty incredible where everything is in relation to each other. Right here is a pretty crowded residential area in San Luis. Then right behind me, here is a dirt lot where the entrance of that cross-border tunnel is located. And just about 200 feet in this direction is the southern border. That's why agents tell me it's not a matter of if there are more tunnels, but how many and where.
So we trudge our way through the loose sand and eventually to a dark 3x4 foot entryway where smugglers and kingpins may have crossed in the past. And now we go inside. But it's not the usual makeshift dirt tunnel you normally see on TV.
It's not something people would think of when they think of a cross-border tunnel, right? Because, I mean, you can see that there's nails that hold these wooden pieces together. And does this help with the insulation when it gets super hot outside during the summertime?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know, being so far underground, it does kind of give a cooling factor.
Yeah.
Right now it's a little hot. We got it coming in from the outside, but had this all been sealed off all the way through, it'd be a little cooler down here.
But cooler also means more humid, attracting things like this cockroach.
And it's amazing because we're just seeing a small section of this, but you said this extends a couple hundred feet inside, right?
Yes, absolutely. And you know, notice we're crouching right now, but it's not totally uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So this tunnel could you know, be for both human trafficking and drug trafficking.
Agent Dulesky tells me this track here could have been used to carry wagons to transport drugs quicker, and it may have even been motorized.
So we're just going in a little bit further, and right now it's actually much cooler than it is outside, so that just gives you an idea of the ingenuity that goes on with constructing these tunnels. They don't know who is involved and who is responsible in building this. That is also part of their investigation. But I mean, just looking at this now, it's something that is totally unique and something that we don't see every day.
But what about the residents who live literally feet away from this dangerous operation? This is Juan Ramirez. We learned that the tunnel ran directly underneath his home. He first learned of the news when he woke up to agents marking the approximate areas on his property where the tunnel ran through.
Have you noticed anything off or suspicious, or have you seen any narcos here at all? Okay. So you would agree that it's pretty safe in this area?
His neighbors agreed as well, none of them ever seeing anything out of the ordinary on their streets because everything was happening in the ground below them.
It was a little bit larger than the tunnel we found, in August of 2018 over there by KFC.
Yes, you heard that right. About 2 years ago, local CBP agents were led to a multi-million-dollar hole in the ground inside this abandoned KFC restaurant, not too far from the tunnel we were just at. Police arrested the owner of the abandoned building after finding several large packages of drugs in the back of his truck, which amounted to a pretty hefty payout.
To break that down, and I'll give you approximate rounded off numbers, that was over 118 kilograms of methamphetamine, over 6 kilograms of cocaine, over 3 kilograms of fentanyl, over 13 kilograms of white heroin, and over 6 kilograms of brown heroin. I would particularly note that just the 3 kilograms of fentanyl translates to over 3 million dosage units.
But we can't ignore the fact that the coronavirus pandemic continues to be very present in our region, changing the way agents at the Yuma sector do their jobs in the process of apprehending illegal immigrants.
So what we'll do is we'll grab some biological information from them, make sure they're not criminals or anybody who can harm us. Or the country we're to send them back to. And then from there, if they are criminals, if we do have a reason to keep them, we'll keep them in our custody. Otherwise, we'll send them back to Mexico.
Agents say the pandemic has highlighted the fact that the new border wall is not only contributing to public safety, but now it is a matter of public health. But despite the disruption of COVID-19 in almost every aspect of our lives, agents continue to patrol our border.
On our part, for the enforcement side of that, we are still pursuing, we are still investigating, looking for anything like sinkholes or any kind of technology that we have within our grasp to find these tunnels and put an end to them. To us, this is again a strategy that forces the cartels to change up and adjust to what we're doing out here on the border.
Since taking on this assignment, agents continue to investigate who was responsible in the first place. But since then, the border tunnel has been filled with concrete and buried with the surrounding sand to prevent any possibility of illegal activity coming into our streets. That is, until another one is discovered. Gabe Salazar, News 11.
Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, God bless. Peace.